I've lived on my 15-acre property for over 20 years. I'm not part of any HOA, never wanted to be, and deliberately bought land outside of any neighborhood boundaries. My property line is clean, surveyed, and marked clearly on every official map. It's peaceful, quiet, and private, just the way I like it. At least it was, until the HOA of the neighborhood next to mine decided they didn't care about any of that. Their subdivision, Sunny Ridge Estates, was one of those neighborhoods filled with people who loved rules more than actual living. They had a fancy sign at the entrance, a board that took itself way too seriously, and a president who treated the HOA like her personal kingdom. Her name, Janet Whitmore, or, as everyone unofficially called her, Queen Janet. I had only had 2 interactions with her in all these years, both equally awful. She once knocked on my door to inform me that my barn paint color clashed with the aesthetic of the neighborhood, despite me not being part of the neighborhood at all. And the second time, she asked me to trim trees on my property because they affected the view from her backyard. My answer both times was a polite but firm no. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The day the bulldozers came. One Wednesday morning, I woke up to the sound of machinery, growling, grating, unmistakably heavy machinery. My first thought was, someone must be doing logging nearby. But the noise was too close. On my land. I grabbed my boots, stepped outside, and froze. 2 bulldozers, a construction crew, survey flags everywhere, and a freshly carved strip of dirt, running straight across my property, right through my pasture. I stormed down the hill toward them. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" I shouted. One of the workers climbed down from his machine. "We're building the extension road for Sunny Ridge Estates. You're on my property." The man looked confused. "We were told this is HOA land." "No, it's not." He held up a folded paper. "This is the plan we were given." It was a blueprint, stamped and approved by the HOA board. The problem: they had drawn the new road through acreage they didn't own. I called the sheriff. He arrived, looked at the property lines, and his eyebrows shot up. "Yeah, they can't do this," he said. "They had no easement, no right of way, nothing." So the sheriff shut down the construction and ordered them off my land. Within an hour, the HOA president herself marched over with fury in her eyes. Queen Janet descends. She strutted across my field in heels, in mud, like the ground itself owed her a favor. "You had no right to stop construction," she barked. "You had no right to build a road on my land," I replied. The HOA voted, and the road improvement plan was approved. "Approved for your land, not mine." She rolled her eyes. "You don't understand. The community decided this road is necessary. The community doesn't own my property." "Well, the board reviewed old maps that show this section as accessible common land. There are no old maps showing that." She gave a thin, cold smile. "We'll see what the court says." And just like that, she spun around and left. I thought she was bluffing. She wasn't. 2 weeks later, a server handed me official papers. The HOA was suing me for stopping their road project. They sued me, so I countersued. When I showed the lawsuit to my attorney, she laughed out loud. "They're claiming you blocked community access to your own land," she said, flipping pages. "And they want the court to grant them an easement. Yep, this is going to be fun." I filed a countersuit for trespassing, destruction of property, attempted land theft, and harassment. Oh, and the kicker: my attorney found out something massive. Sunny Ridge Estates HOA had been operating on renewed bylaws for the last 10 years, but the renewal paperwork they filed with the county had a clerical error. A big one. They had listed the wrong plot numbers. In the eyes of the county, the HOA's leadership structure, and their own board election procedures, were technically invalid. My attorney's eyes glimmered. "This means their board is illegitimate. And if the board is illegitimate," she said slowly, "they don't legally exist as an organized HOA. Which means they can't sue anyone," I finished. "Oh, they can sue," she said. "They just won't win." But she wasn't finished. "Also, someone could petition to take over the HOA until the paperwork is corrected." I blinked. "You mean me?" She grinned. "Why not? You're technically impacted by their decisions." Court day. The WA implodes. On the day we walked into the courthouse, the WA board members showed up in matching navy blazers. It would have been funny if it weren't so stupid. Janet was wearing a pearl necklace that might have strangled her if she puffed her chest anymore. She tried to smirk at me. When the judge entered, he went through the HOA's claims, then flipped to my countersuit. "This is very serious," he said. "Mr. Carter, you have proof the WA knowingly built a road on your land." "Yes, Your Honor," I said. My attorney slid forward photos, maps, drone shots, and the sheriff's report. Then came the part that broke the HOA. My attorney stood. "Your Honor, before continuing, we must address one legal issue. The plaintiffs are operating under bylaws that were never properly filed. As such, the board's authority is not valid under county law." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Is this true?" The room went silent. Then, reluctantly, the HOA's lawyer nodded. "I, unfortunately, cannot dispute that." The judge sat back. So the group suing Mr. Carter did not have the legal standing to authorize this lawsuit. "Yes, Your Honor." "And did not have the legal authority to authorize a road project." "Yes." "And has no governing structure until the bylaws are corrected." "Yes." The judge sighed. "This is a disaster." Then he turned to me. "Mr. Carter, you said you wished to petition for temporary administrative control of the HOA." Janet's head snapped toward me, eyes wide. I nodded. "To restore proper oversight, yes." Janet shot to her feet. "He can't do that. He's not even a member." The judge slammed his gavel. "Sit down, Ms. Whitmore." He looked at me. "Petition granted." Janet went pale. The courtroom erupted in murmurs, some shocked, some amused, some delighted. And with that single ruling, I was now the temporary president of the very WA that tried to steal my land. My first act as WA president. The next WA meeting was legendary. Dozens of residents packed into the clubhouse. People looked around, confused, whispering to each other. Janet sat in the front row, arms crossed, fury radiating off her. I stepped onto the stage, tapped the microphone, and said, "Hello, everyone. I'm your new acting WA president." Half the room gasped. The other half cheered. I held up a thick packet. "This is the full list of illegal actions your previous board took without proper authority. Including." I flipped a page, attempting to construct a road across private property. People started yelling at the former board members. "How could you do that? You told us it was legal. You said he approved it. You used our dues for this." I continued. My second announcement. "Until further notice, WA dues are suspended." The crowd erupted. Some even clapped. Janet sprang to her feet. "You don't have the right." I held up the judges. "Order." "I do." They fell silent. And my third announcement. I said, "All board members, including Ms. Whitmore, are removed pending a full community election." Now the crowd really erupted. People stood, cheering, some booing the old board. A few yelled things I can't repeat. Janet looked like she might combust. Security eventually escorted her and several other former board members out. Cleaning up the mess. Over the next few weeks, I froze all WA spending, opened an investigation into misused funds, reversed several ridiculous WA rules like no grills visible from the street, returned hundreds of dollars of improperly collected fines, and repaired the damage the bulldozers caused on my property, paid for by the WA funds that previously financed Janet's pet projects. People finally felt relief. The WA had become a nightmare under the old board, and residents were desperate for change. When the new election took place, I stepped aside, happy to hand off control to a group of reasonable, sane adults. But the community had one more surprise for me. They asked me to stay on as an advisor and liaison for all land issues. I accepted, and as the final cherry on top, Janet tried one last thing. A month later, she filed a personal complaint with the county office claiming she had been unfairly removed. The clerk reportedly told her, "Ma'am, you were never legally the president to begin with." Her face, they said, was priceless. She sold her house shortly after and moved 2 counties over. I imagine she's terrorizing some other poor neighborhood now. Peace, at last. With the WA under new leadership, my property line respected, and the road project fully cancelled, things returned to normal. Actually, they got better. The new board apologized formally, paid for reseeding the torn-up pasture, and even offered funds for new fencing. I declined the money, just wanted peace. The sheriff, who had dealt with several of their nonsense calls over the years, stopped by one day and joked. "You know, I think you're the first person in county history to topple an HOA from the outside." I laughed. I didn't topple them. They did that themselves. And that's the truth. I never wanted a fight. I never wanted control. I never wanted anything except for people to stay off my land. But if someone tries to build a road through your property, sometimes the only thing you can do is bulldoze their wall instead.